Got Chuck Coughlin joining us this morning.
Yeah, glad you're in with us, Chuck. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure to be with the legendary Mr. Hoon and yourself.
Oh, thank you.
Des, would you mind calling me that from now on?
I can call whatever you'd prefer, Lord Hoon, because you are a lord, so that would be accurate. He is.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Believe me, Chuck, I bought a square foot of land on a lark in Scotland. I don't even know for sure if it's real. But they sent me a certificate. They said, now you can call yourself a lord.
You got the paper to prove it.
Well, give me that, and I'm having dinner with Fife on Friday, and I'll have him examine.
Is that right? You're talking about Fife Symington.
I am.
Okay.
I am. Or Saturday. I'll have him examine your certificient for authenticity.
Okay, that's great.
Look at that.
How about that? Hey, that's a reference to a longtime political name that really we haven't talked about a lot. We'll have to bring you back, and you can tell us what's going on.
Bring him back. He's entertaining.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so there is this new governor's poll. Let's jump right into it here. And I have been, we've had, I think, pretty much every one of these guys on, and more. Who didn't even make the 1% cutoff in the poll. We've had the governor on multiple times as well. And it looks like, there's still you do the math on this, there's still over 20% who are undecided, but it looks like I'm just trying to figure out what's going on here with a 50-point lead between Andy Biggs and David Schweikert. Obviously, Schweikert, a longtime political name here in Arizona. What's your read on what's going on this side of the race?
Well, I think as the poll indicates, I tend to believe this poll that it's a lockout. Congressman Biggs represents one of the most conservative parts of the state, that East Valley, Pinal County legislative district or congressional district. Yeah. It was former state senator, and then went on to serve after Matt Salmon served the same seat in Congress, and so he's there. He came out early. Indicated his interest in running for governor. He organized the committee. And then, months later, Mr. Schweikert, I think, just got tired of being a congressman. His passion is the federal budget deficit. I think he's the only person in Washington that cares about that anymore. And I think he just sort of threw up his hands and said, I'm going to do something else, or at least try to do something else.
Yeah. And yet... I guess, would you say it's the Trump endorsement? He's had or is it TPUSA?
All of the above.
Erica Kirk, the whole gang at TPUSA has been behind his candidacy for a long time. And we see these Republican primaries going on from state to state. Occasionally, a Trump endorsement doesn't work, but I'd say about 80 to 90% of the time it does. Is it as simple as that?
It's pretty as simple as that. There's still, if you look at national polls or a poll like this, you'd say, think about who you're talking to, too. You're thinking about Republican primary election voters. So that's 20% of Republican voters who vote in Republican primaries. This is a deeply red, deeply MAGA audience. It's not the whole, we all think about, Maricopa County, for instance. Don't think about that, because it's a subset of that, in a geographical subset of the Valley, which is very, very conservative. This is Gilbert, west or east of Gilbert, all the way out into Pinal County, Santan Valley, the newest incorporated city, down into Florence and parts of Pinal County. And it's a very, very conservative place.
So let's talk about if it does, if it goes the way the polls are saying, is shaping up. Most of the polls I see have Katie Hobbs in the lead, but almost some of them at least are right within the margin of error. What's your take on where that race? We don't want to put the cart before the horse, but I guess in this case we sort of are, Des.
Yeah, right.
What's your take on where that race goes, and why is it maybe as close as it is?
Well, so think about a statewide election. 61% of the electorate is in Maricopa County. So think about winning Maricopa County. Can a very conservative congressman win in Maricopa County. He's done well. He's tried to sort of move himself, even in this primary, a little more towards the center. He's got the endorsement, say, of the county sheriff. He's got the endorsement of the county attorney. Those are countywide elected officials who have proven their ability to be elected countywide. She, on the other hand, is a Democrat, right? And I think we would all agree is a blessed Democrat, having won her last race against the all-time worst candidate that the Republicans ever put up for governor. With all due respects to our Fox 10 colleagues, I was quoted after that race as saying if she had just simply purchased a ticket, gone to a beach in Hawaii, and not said another word, she may have won that race. But she just completely sabotaged herself throughout the race.
I mean, that was the way they used to run for president, right? You sat on the porch and let somebody else talk about it. Yeah.
So if it does in fact come down, head to head, Biggs and Hobbs, when we look at their policies, what are some of the big differences and things that voters really should be focused on when it comes to how they plan on running the state?
That's a fascinating question, because my question is, are we even going to hear that? Are we ever going to, as a constituency, it's a very important race. There's a lot of important issues. We have not renewed the state land trust provision, which provides about $300 million a year to K through 12 funding, and that's been supplemented with general fund revenue. We had that when Governor Ducey was there, but they've let it expire and not put it back on the ballot. So you would say that there's a $300 million minimum deficit for K through 12 funding right now. Water. You have a real desperate need for the state to identify a funding source to augment our state's water supply. There's lots of options on that. One of them that appeals to me would be the Colorado River water, which California gets right now, is there for our taking if we were to buy it. Well, why would California do that? Well, we would have to pay for their desalinization plants to become operable or more productive in Southern California. That's going to cost money. Nobody's identified a source to fund that really critical need. With higher education, the state has moved away from funding, and recent budgets have really knocked down higher education funding, community college funding, and we, as we all know, our economy is transforming itself. We're becoming a much more complicated place to seek a higher education. You need better training, better educational standards to enter the workforce. What's the state doing to provide that workforce?
Let me ask you about this here, Chuck. So I've been somewhat surprised that data centers, because they've been going up like crazy here, especially in the Phoenix area, it seems like it's becoming a bigger and bigger issue.
Yeah, it is.
So first of all, this now the removal of the tax incentive, which just came through the other day at the Capitol. Do you see this potentially becoming an issue, and is it a winner for either Republican or Democrat?
I mean, there's
a loser.
Well, there's a massive demand for data centers nationwide. We are in a very geologically stable environment. The two things that data centers need are power, and in most instances, water. Okay, can we provide that power? Who's going to pay for that power? And then water, we are in a deficit situation there. Those are huge policy questions that should be addressed about our state's demand for these types of business. But on the flip side, we all use it, right? It's like, hey, this is the new technology of AI that you want to be able to use. You want to be able to download a bunch of data, put it into ChatGPT, have it produce your report back for you, and then continue to refine it.
I'm sure there are people right now asking AI, who is Chuck Coughlin?
Right? Looking up his
I hope they don't. I hope they can go to our website at High Ground and find out. They'll find a lot of information out there, just like you, Hooner. 40 years in this bit, 30 years anniversary of our company this year, 40 plus years in the business. So,
and obviously the governor's race is the big one for the primary. But what other races should folks be paying attention to?
Well, we're going to have two very competitive congressional races. You have one up in District 1 where Congressman Schweikert left that seat open. It's more of a swing district in terms of competitiveness. It's been a Republican district, but the area that it covers is a big chunk of Phoenix and a big chunk of North Phoenix that's moving into a more competitive place.
This is the Marlene Galland Woods,
Amish Shaw primary on the Democratic side, a couple other, Jonathan Trobaugh, a couple other people in that race. And then the winner will face either Jay Feely or Joe Chaplick, who's a state legislator.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
We got a quick break. We continue with Chuck Coughlin, longtime political analyst here in the Valley of the Sun. So let me ask you, Chuck, the president, he weighs heavily on the primary, of course, on the Republican side. Is he... will he have influence when it comes to the general election? And does your answer depend on where things stand in the war with Iran come October, November?
So yes, he will clearly have an impact on the election in November. The biggest part of the electorate, which decides a lot of races now, are unaffiliated voters, people who are not a member of either the Democrat or Republican Party. It's the fastest growing part of the electorate. In Arizona, we anticipate that portion of the primary of this election this fall will be somewhere around 32% of the electorate will be unaffiliated. He's currently losing those voters almost 7-1. So 70 unaffiliated voters are not happy with the president because of the inflationary costs of the war that have thrown people off their feed. And the cost of everything, the food, those things, and the constant, he said, he was going to bring prices down. He said he's not going to be a foreign war president. He's going to focus on America first. He's got people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and others bailing on him on the right. So he's got problems, and he is presenting significant problems right now.
I know we have conflict reigniting even from overnight. So
and I think the Iranians know that, right? So I think that's going to be a long-term challenge for him throughout this cycle.
Okay. So where do we go from here? So
Well, I mean, the governor's race will heat up. That will be a very interesting. I would love to see a debate on those issues, but I don't know that we will. I don't know. I don't know.
What has to happen for that to happen? The voters deserve debates, multiple.
I think that's true, Ron, because people will say, "Oh, they don't really matter." They do matter for a governing narrative, for somebody to establish. A 30-second or 60-second TV ad's fine about how I empathize with your pain, or I am one of you, or one of those. But really talking about what is important to the future of Arizona, the state government, a governor, there's 51 good political jobs in the country. The presidency, because you're the chief executive of the federal government, and then governors. You're the chief executive officer of 50 states. They can make substantial progress and changes in a state's trajectory. And we've been blessed to see that in Arizona over time. We've had really, really good governors that have done fantastic things for the state of Arizona.
Well, I know this. I know this guy knows every major political figure in the state.
Oh, gosh, he's
so
like a
make some phone calls. Tell them they can come right into this forum.
Yes.
Give it the whole hour. We'll do that
Well,
debate.
come on. With you guys? Come on.
Come on.
With the Hooner?
Yeah.
Who knows more? Come on. You have personality
If only we can
and
hope.
wisdom. So we have all of these things all in one spot.
All right, Chuck. Great having you in. I'm sure we'll chat again.
Thank you, sir.
Always good to see you. Thanks, Chuck.
Nice.